So first and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh. So, men make plans and God laughs, right? That's something my mom, she used to tell me all the time. This is the third time that I'm trying to record this. It's cutting off. My daughter's upstairs making noise, but anyhow, we're gonna get through this. So I wanted to talk about a topic that for years I was very much interested in, and it was geopolitics and how the landscape shaped and molded the past, the present, and ultimately the future as well. So all week I've been just kind of reading and doing research. And two things that I learned. Number one is monarchies don't work. And I see now why the Most High was so reluctant in giving Israel a king. Number one, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. Anytime you have a one point of failure, so to speak, one person that is allowed to operate with impunity. He's making rules. He's not being held accountable for the decisions he makes, because who's going to hold him accountable? He's the king. And I find that's always like a recipe for destruction. Like, they always become corrupted. They always oppress the people. They always just overdo it. So, get that First Samuel chapter 8. We'll start at verse 6. It says, "But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, 'Give us a king to judge us.' And Samuel prayed unto the Lord, and the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people, and all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them." So, pretty much after the Most High did all the things that he did for Israel, because we were given a law to govern ourselves. We didn't need a king because we had the laws of the Most High. So when it came to war and things like that, yeah, we had maybe a general or two, but we didn't need and some judges, but we didn't necessarily need a king to reign over us for obvious reasons. I feel like I was saying before, the nations couldn't get it right. Like the other nations that are round about. And they were made to be pretty much servants. When you really think about it, they was made to serve Israel, and they can't get it right. So when you look at Israel and understand that God made them a nation of kings and priests, not of kings and followers. He made them a whole nation of kings and priests, and you can pretty much see that manifested today, and how hard it is for us to elect and follow one person, one leader. Like Israel always got an issue. They always have an issue with who's in charge. They always feel like they can do better, because that they feel like that's a man just like I'm a man and I can do better than him. So it made the Most High upset. He wasn't with us trying to elect a king. And so, in our asking for a king and all our wickedness, he gave us a king. And that king was Saul. And Saul did exactly what kings do. Again, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And Saul did exactly that. These are the things that the Lord warned us about. Let's scroll down to verse 9. It says, "Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them." And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, "This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariot." And here goes the corruption of having one man in power. And the Lord knows best, and he knows his people. So in not appointing us a king, he was doing what was best for us. But of course, we feel like we know what was best. So he said, "And this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to air his ground and to reap his harvest." So he put them to work. He put your sons and daughters to work. So instead of you working and growing your crops and feeding yourself, here you are working to make the king even more prosperous. Reap harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the 10th of your seed and your vine, that there go your taxes, he's going to tax you too, and your vineyards, and give to his officers and his servants. And he will take your man servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to work. He will take the 10th of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. So the point is, just as the other nations, eventually either the leader was corrupt or the people just wanted to overthrow him, and all the different monarchies that I looked at, it was the same case all the time. So it's understandable why the Lord didn't want us to have a king, because it just never worked. It never worked. So, but having that understanding of they are men, we are men, we can do better. That's why it's so. That's why Yahweh Shai is so important in the way that he's going to return, and of course the power that he has, and the things that he can do, because that's the only way you're going to rule over a people. As a monarch, as a king, you got to have some superpowers, man. You got to be able to do things that normal men just can't do, because that's the only way they're going to listen. That's the only way that there's not going to be a mutiny later on, or a coup against the government later on. And we see that in the Lord coming back and showing us. And let's do Isaiah 33 and 13. Isaiah 33 and 13. Bear with me, of course, I don't have a reader. I'm here by myself, as you can see. So, bear with me. I gotta get these scriptures on my own. Isaiah chapter 33 and 13. It says, "Hear ye that are far off what I have done, and ye that are near acknowledge my might." So in this chapter, it's talking about the day of the Lord, and the Lord coming back to exact judgment on the world and on the nations. And you see in him coming back, pretty much the manner in which he comes back is that people are going to understand that this is the King of Kings. There is no overthrowing the Lord. There's no overthrowing Yahushua. So that's the only way I see a monarchy ever working. So the Most High is the recipe for a successful monarchy. You need a righteous king who is powerful beyond anything we can imagine. That's the only way I see that working. Another thing that I realized is Esau. When I say Esau, I got my book right there. When I say Esau, this is the picture history of Jewish civilization. You can see that. Now, it says here, if you go down to paragraph 2, right here. I don't know if you want to pause it, screenshot, and zoom in, right? But I'm going to read some of it. It says, in the book Nastarat de Rabbi Simeon bar Yohai, the secrets of Rabbi Simon ben Yohai, written in Palestine in the 8th century, there is a beautiful legend which expresses the feelings of the Jews of that generation and their hopes for their people. And when he saw the kingdom of the sons of Ishmael would eventually spread throughout the world, Simeon bar Yohai wept and said, Lord of the universe, is it not enough for your sons what the evil kingdom of Edom, Rome, did to them, that you must also send the kingdom of Ishmael against us? So when I say Edom, I mean who these people identified in the 8th century as the Romans. So in understanding that, We understand that the Romans and the Roman Empire eventually broke apart and became all the nations in Europe. So that's France, Spain, the UK, all these different countries. And then those countries eventually became America, or the descendants of the Romans are the people that inhabit this land today, right? So when I say Esau, Edom, I'm talking about the descendants of the Romans, these people, right, that rule the entire world. So the thing I noticed was, number one, they're always at the core of the issues geopolitically. And they love to fight. They've been warring for thousands of years. They'll fight each other. They'll invade other countries and fight them. Like I understand now, when they came to the Americas, and when you read some of the writings on Columbus and how excited he was that the people here were somewhat peaceful and welcoming of them, like that shit, it excited them because they knew that they could take the land without much of a fight. Like all they've been doing for thousands of years is fighting and killing each other off. It was war after war after war. So we get that in Genesis chapter 25, because the Lord had their number when he described them, and he said that they would live by the sword. And that is their culture. More so than art and music. That's what other countries pride themselves in. Esau, Edom's culture is making weapons. The amount of weapons that they have, and killing stuff. Making weapons, making bombs. How well their children shoot, fight. How well their women can shoot and fight. I've never seen a people that was so happy. Like, they think it's just so attractive for a woman to be able to shoot and fight and do every movie that you see now, like within the last, I'd say, 20 to 30 years, it's about women just beating everybody up. Like, that's really their thing. So Genesis chapter 25. Genesis. I'm looking for the scripture when Isaac blessed. When Isaac blessed Esau. 27. That's it. Chapter 27 and so 38. Let's start at 38. So he said, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? So, if you know the story, Jacob and Esau, Jacob got the blessing that Esau felt like he was supposed to have. Jacob got the firstborn's blessing, really. But the Lord had, or the Most High had arranged it that it be that way, right? A lot of them like to say, Jacob stole the blessing or whatever the case may be, but the Lord ordained it to happen this way, so that's how it happened. So anyway, Isaac ended up giving the kingdom of heaven to the younger son, Jacob, and giving Esau a different blessing instead. So this is verse 38. It says, And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even, me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Because at this point, Jacob had came in before, pretended to be Esau. Isaac blessed him and gave him the blessing. Like, Esau got a blessing, but Jacob got the blessing, right? The kingdom of heaven, the promises, all that stuff. The blessing that was passed down from Abraham and Isaac and so on and so forth. Noah. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And this is the point right here. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So I just wanted to get the part where it says that they would live by the sword. That is their culture. Weapons, missiles, guns, death. And us being captives in this land, this is what we learned from them. Like, you think the whole gangster rap culture and that madness that we went through in the 90s, you think like Esau scaled that up to 1,000. That's just a dumbed down version of Esau's culture. That's just the way he is and the way he's always been. They be talking about us like, you know how many people died in World War I and II? Like, we talking millions, 80 million people dead in that war. And of course, they're scaling up for another one. At the end of the day, though, I'll say this. It's necessary. It is necessary. War is necessary. If there's one thing that changes the landscape of the planet since the beginning, the one most important thing is war. As a nation of people, you're either preparing for war or you're recovering from war. And that's why the Most High has to restore peace, because that's the only way we're gonna have peace. You're either preparing for war or you're recovering from war. Let's get Isaiah, because though Esau has been allowed to run amok for so long, in the end, He's going to get his. And the only thing, the only way to usher in this kingdom of the Lord, just like every other kingdom that's been ushered in, you know, it's going to be war. Same way he got his kingdom is the same way the Lord is going to get his kingdom. The same way Esau got his kingdom, the same way the Lord and the Most High is going to establish their kingdom in the earth. And that's through war. Because again, that's the only thing that's constant, that changes the landscape. And that's why you got to always give it up for the men and the warriors of a nation. Because they make things what they are, if that makes sense. Let's get out there. Well, first let's get Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9. We can start at 13. It says, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So we're establishing that he is talking about Esau here. And remember, this is the book of Romans, so this is during Roman rule. So without saying too much, because the Jews were already being somewhat persecuted as being rebellious towards the Roman Empire. So when Paul was sending these letters, he had to kind of disguise them as, he couldn't just flat out say, Esau's the devil, he'll be conquered, and Yahweh Shai and the Most High is going to set up his kingdom, because it'll sound like treason. It'll sound like they're trying to usurp the throne. Like I said, just overthrowing another monarchy. So Paul was very careful in his letters and saying the things that he said. So he started off with Esau have I loved, but Jacob have I hated, right? So then we scroll down to verse 17, and he says, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I may show my power in thee, and that my name be declared throughout all the earth. So we understand that we still talk about the Exodus till this day. I think the last Exodus movie that came out was no more than 4 or 5 years ago, right? Because the Lord was able to show his power in overthrowing Egypt. So all of the world knew and recognized who the Most High was. Well, outside of Israel, all the nations knew who the Most High was. One of the biggest reasons was because of what he did in Egypt and how he overthrew the mightiest nation on the planet. And then understanding that, we understand that he was the one that raised them up so that he can bring them down. Like he says in verse 17, he said, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. And that it was after that. So fast forward 2022, or just modern day period, we watch the rise of this nation, Esau, Edom, Babylon the Great. We'll try to make that connection a little bit, but we see that rise to power. So when the Lord comes back and he actually overthrows this kingdom, like, we're gonna talk about that forever, right? Let's get down to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 23. And 7. So it says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So they're saying no more we going to say, no more is he going to be known for that particular, well, of course he's going to be known for it, but even more so, it says he's going to be known for something else. Verse 8, it says, but the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So when you read in Romans 9, when he talks about, even for the same reason have I raised thee up, so I may show my power in thee, it says here in Jeremiah that in bringing this kingdom down, that he raised up so high, that we ain't going to talk about Egypt no more. We're going to talk about what he did in the land of the north, and in saving us and bringing us out of the land of the north, and from all the countries whither he had scattered us. All right? So, we're going to go to Isaiah. So we're going to read about this war, this destruction that the Lord is going to bring in order to redeem his people being the Israelites.